Hello, welcome to Rewrite Your Reality with Reese. I am your host, and today I'm going to go through the mechanics of reality creation. That there are no new chapters in old books, or Jesus says, you can't put old wine into new wineskins. Or lastly, Abraham Hicks's one, which is, you can't build new houses with old bricks. All are the same thing, all mean the same thing, but it fundamentally comes down to this idea. If there is a fundamental truth, you either believe in that truth or you don't. You can't take that truth and try to dilute it with whatever past beliefs and understanding that you have. You must believe in it completely. You can't think, oh no, how do I make this truth part of my life? That doesn't work like that, right? So, here's the idea. The old book problem, right? And Neville has this idea of the mighty four of creation. I'm going to blend these two things together. I can't stay in my new I am state if I have fear, doubt, or anxiety unless I flip the thought. That's what some people say, right? Some people experience this reality. But that's just like flipping pages in an old book, trying to find new words, new chapters, new experiences in this old book, right? No matter how many times you read it over and over again, you know what's going to happen. Right? You might feel it differently, you might experience it differently, you might even understand the story a little bit better each time you do it, but it is still the same story, right? There's no new chapters written in this book. You may experience them newly because everything is actually new and each time you do it, but again, it's still the old story. So close it, write a new one by realizing in every single moment you are actually writing a new book, including the old one. You're still writing it, right? You're still writing that old thing. That's why it's happening again and again and again and again. It's different, but it's the same, but it's also new. It's a bit of a trifecta thing going on there, right? So the book and the character. Your thoughts, your feelings, your fears, they are all pages in a book you are reading, right? When I say reading, I mean living. The character in the book can't change the story by flipping through the pages differently. It doesn't change the story, right? You're just reading it back to front, or you're reading it from middle to end. It doesn't matter. It's the same story, looking at the same story from a different point of view. The story is already written, right? So when you try to flip thoughts, i.e. pages, to fix things, you're staying in the same story, the same character. You're looking at the same building or same book from a different point of view. It doesn't change the building. Same character, same limitations, right? You can't write new stories with old pages. You can't write a new life in an old book. You can't do anything new with something old. Right? You want to experience a new identity. Stop flipping the pages, close the book, and pick up a new one. You are not the character stuck in the narrative. That character stays in that narrative because the character is part of the narrative, right? If you take away the narrative, the character doesn't exist any longer. Just like your past. If you take away your past, that person that you were does not exist any longer. It effectively dies. Not even effectively, it literally dies. The character dies if it no longer has a story to live in. Just like how if you take a movie and burn it, if you take a book and burn it, the characters within them are gone. Right? You might remember the character, you might remember certain scenes, but effectively that character no longer exists. Right? You are the awareness reading the book, and you have the capability of picking up any new story wherever you like, from whenever you like. It makes no difference to source, right? Because it's already created every one of these scripts of reality. So Neville Goddard's call this the mighty four within you. The producer who gets to decide what story gets made, choosing the concepts and genre of your life. The author who writes the script, who you are, what happens and what is possible, and the director, you guiding focus and perspective and emphasis intentionally by setting scenes you are choosing and where your attention goes. I.e. you intentionally imagining a certain idea, right? You get to do those while imagining, assuming, and setting the intention. That's as far as that part goes. Your higher self does everything else, right? Your subconscious is doing everything else after that. You don't have to trick it. It said yes. The actor, that's who you are, flesh and blood. That actor new in every moment, embodying the role fully that you have now chosen to be. You feel it real, you live it. You are the producer, the actor, the director, and the actor of your reality, Neville Goddard, but you are actively playing the acting role. When you live by this, you're living in the assumption that I am that actor, I am in the role, and I am experiencing the unfolding of that which I desire to be. Right? The scene's already filmed. You're just experiencing it as if it's a new production entirely, right? So, there's further understanding, revising, and remembering, right? Revising in Neville's teachings isn't flipping the old pages and pretending something different happened on them, right? You are not taking an old book, yanking out a chapter you don't like and sticking in a new one and trying to make it make sense. You are not taking out a chapter from an old book, yanking it out, rewriting it, and expecting the rest of the story to make sense. If you understand that you are blank, new, and completely free and detached from everything, when you write a new chapter in the middle of a book, it automatically writes the rest of the book backward and front for you because it's already been written in every way you can possibly conceive of. So you are in a new book entirely, even if you don't know what that past is yet. It'll make itself evident to you. If you don't know what your future is, you're living it now, right? So it's not that you wrote an old, you didn't change an old book's story. You said, okay, this is my new story, this is my new chapter. Wherever that chapter got slotted in, the entirety of your life was written anyway. So, revising is choosing to rewrite a scene, but when you rewrite the scene, you rewrite the book. And when you rewrote the scene, you chose a new character because that character can't exist in the old book. It must be new. So from this new perspective, who is remembering things differently, you are enacting the creative power within you. When you revise, you are literally rewriting your reality, reshooting the scene, recasting yourself as this new identity, new character. You are not stuck because of fear. You are stuck because you're trying to fix the old narrative instead of writing a new one by realizing you are always writing a new one, right? So this cosmic library within you, right? This cosmic beingness within you, it has infinite number of genres of books, horror, romance, comedy, drama, whatever you want to say. Some blurring together. Some have nothing to do with each other, right? Some open, some closed, all possibilities in existence, right? You as the awareness have them all within you. And every one of them is a certain character that you can embody by imagining it now. So choose the book you want to read by imagining the scene you want to play out, right? So when you pick up one, that's the only experience you are now going to be aware of. It doesn't mean you forget the other ones, right? It doesn't mean they suddenly disappear, they are erased. That's not how this works, okay? The old stories still exist within your awareness, but they don't have anything to do with you because you know you are reading a new book, right? It's like you've picked up a new book and you're reading it, but you can still see the old one on your shelf. You're not going to focus on it being on your shelf while reading, just read, right? So what do you do now? Stop flipping through your thoughts to fix your state. Just leave them. You're remembering pages of an old book. That doesn't mean anything. You've closed it. Doesn't mean you forget, right? You're still going to remember your 10th birthday, right? Now and then. It just pops in randomly. You say, oh yeah, I remember doing that. And then that's about it. It doesn't change your 31st. So close the old book. Let it be on your shelf. Just leave it there. You don't have to go chug it. Right? Try to. Right? Pick up a new book with a new story. Be the mighty four: producer, writer, director, and actor, right? Know you're being the actor consciously, and know that the other three are happening unconsciously via your higher self, because it has all creative sequences of God within you. You don't have to blend, and you can't blend, and you shouldn't blend. You can technically blend your old beliefs into a new state. It just creates a confusing state of this in-between things, right? But you don't have to dilute the truth to fit what you used to be. In fact, it's actually beneficial for you to dump absolutely and completely what you have believed before. You can't make the truth make sense to you using an old belief system. That's why people come up with this idea, I want to use the law of assumption to do something. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't work. It's not a hammer, right? It's not a hammer. It's not a drill. It's not a screwdriver. It's not a band-aid. Okay, it's a new way of living. Actually, it's not even a new way of living. It's the way you've been living and you're becoming consciously aware of it, right? So, like I said, if you try to make your old belief grip this new truth, bend it, break it, change it so it fits your old narrative, it's no longer the truth. You can't pour new wine into old wineskins. You can't build new houses with old bricks, and you can't write new chapters in an old book. Right? The book's done, the house is built, the new book is done, the new house is built, the new wineskin has new wine in it. Right? Doing it any other way, it doesn't work because it no longer becomes new, it's not even old, it's just something in between. The truth of awareness, you are not here to drag the old self into the new house, into the new identity. It is here to die when you no longer require it as your experience. It is there for that. That sounds harsh, but it actually is. That when you burn a book or when you cut up a movie, the character dies along with it. You might remember the character, you might remember the movie, but the character only exists in that movie, in that experiencing of it, right? Otherwise, it's gone. You can remember the character. You can even imagine the character walking around with you, but it doesn't change the fact that the character exists in that story, in that movie, in that way. Just like your old self, in that experience, in that moment, in that way, but now gone because after you experience it, it's gone back into its own superposition of possibility. So whatever you pick, direct, and embody, that is what book you are reading right now and which character you are being right now. So final reminder, there are no new chapters in this old book. Close it. There are infinite number of books within you. You are the writer, director, author, and producer of each and every single one of them. You are the creator. Act and live as if you have always been this character and have always had every character within you. That's acting as if, not trying to do something in the three-dimensional world to prove that you are this character. Those things come about. And I'm just going to give a little side segue here on writing and trying to be the director of the movie, or the director and the author of the movie in terms of inspired action, because just remember this now, right? And somebody was saying this, they were buying things to embody the identity of having a new house or something like that. So here is what is not inspired action. This isn't what they did, but I'm just giving this as an example so everyone can understand it. You sit there, and let's say you have a specific person, and then you have imagined yourself saying, oh, I am so in love with you, I want to be together. And then you imagine your specific person saying, I am in love with you too, let's be together. And in your head, this happens tomorrow. And it doesn't happen tomorrow, it doesn't happen the next day, it doesn't happen the next day. And eventually you reach out and you confess your feelings to them and you say, I love you, I want to be together. Right? And then, because you've imagined it, because you've written it, because you've scripted it, you expect them to say, I love you too, let's be together. And then they don't. Why is that? It's because you're trying to be the actor and the author at the same time. You can't do both. You're trying to write dialogue, call it inspired action, because you wrote it, because you imagined it, because you felt as if you were inspired to do that, but it's more that you are impatiently coming up with something to do. Then you went and did it, and then you wonder why they didn't respond in the way that you have tried to puppet them into responding. Because the world doesn't work like that. You're creating the delay by saying, I am the author. I'm going to author it this way, then I'm going to act it out, and then I'm going to imagine them saying this back to me and wait for them to say it. I'm going to do something so they say this. But you're not believing in your higher self unfolding it. You're not believing in, you're believing in separation, right? Because you think you need to do something for your higher self to make them do something, but they're separate from you. You aren't seeing everything as one idea unfolding. So if you say, I am awareness, and my awareness is showing me, my own awareness is showing me, within my own awareness I can see and focus on this reality where we are together, and it's my intention to call it forth, and I call it forth and I choose to embody this identity, that it must automatically unfold. I don't have to figure out what my intentional actions are, that's not inspired action. That's action out of boredom, right? Action out of impatient action, right? That's what that is. So you're not actually going with the flow, you are trying to redirect the flow, hoping it gets to where you want to go. But you don't know where you want to go. You know where the end is, you don't know how to get there, right? Not in the way you want to anyway. So, inspired action is not coming up with an idea, coming up with dialogue you want to be heard, and then saying that dialogue to them and hoping you hear it. It's not buying stuff and trying to get into this happy state about your house coming to you. It's none of that. It's going within and saying, okay, I imagine myself in this house. It exists. I accept that this is my reality because I have intentionally called it forth as that. Leaving it to my higher self to unfold completely. I'll feel when I'll feel all of those things. I'll feel fear, I'll feel doubt because the character doesn't understand. But I know that as the awareness, I've called forth that story. So it can only be that story as my life because I am the storyteller of my life. And I'm going to assume and persist in that idea that I'm awareness. So, that being said, thank you for being here. Much love, much light. A lot of questions about these things popping up, and I'm going to get into each and every one of them with their own video as those questions as the forefront of the video itself. This was one of them about flipping thoughts, and I segued another question into it a little bit, but I'll get to that question itself as well, right? As the subject of the video. That being said, much love, much light. Thank you for the questions, truly. If you want to get a hold of me, email preferably, please. There is a Facebook group available. It's in the description box below. People are joining every day. I love it very much. TikTok people are following every day as well and asking me questions there. Oh, that being said, much love, much light, and I will see you all in the next one.